Hey, David here. Another week at the chess club. Some rambles. A lot of thoughts been doing chess the last few weeks. School is officially over, so it's the summertime now. Most of the kids coming now are more serious about learning chess, take their own initiative during the school year. There's a lot more school programs and different reasons children come that are connected to the school year academics and programs. So hopefully, usually the kids that come during the summer have the most gain, practice, increase some rating points. So I haven't had much thoughts on consciousness the last few weeks. Been caught up with other things, and so hopefully chess coaching will get me more into thinking about things, and thought with the pattern recognition and different factors of dissonance and people's perception of how the world is versus the reality of how the world actually is, and the mismatch leading to dissonance, and that is in essence being what the game of chess is about, the trained patterns that people use to for their understanding of best piece coordination or different ideas versus possible objective reality. So obviously the game might technically be a draw, and you might have some theological implications, but in theory, if you organize your pieces in a proper way, better than your opponents, eventually you could you'll get them to create an error. You could create pressure. So I've been playing a lot of tournament chess online on chess.com. Think I had some good results. I haven't streamed some of them. I won a 1-0 tournament. I played in the Monday night King Arena. I think I got 15th place. Had a pretty good performance rate, well into the master strength program. So I was pretty happy and satisfied with that performance. And I've done some streams like the computer analysis, opening study, and the unlikeliness that I'm going to do what's necessary to actually be a seriously competitive chess player. But I enjoy coaching. Also some controversy. I say psychological experiments on kids. I've never actually performed any experiments. I'm just saying that through years of coaching, I've recognized certain elements of cognitive development, how people produce thoughts, training, different nature of children that go on to be quite good at chess versus others. I haven't conducted any formal experiments like that. People took the IQ tests, and I don't know if I could venture out if a person was to do formal psychological experiments, and there actually has been quite a few done, to take IQ test or the type standard that would be used for an actual experiment. But you're more heuristic through almost a decade of coaching and teaching hundreds of kids how to move the pieces, patterns, to kind of what works, what doesn't work, what type of effort level different children put in, what they get out of it. And so it's always interesting trying to solve the hard problem of consciousness, pattern recognition, the nature of intelligence, the nature of thought. Chess is a good way of doing it. In essence, you say, I want to be a good person. I want to improve my society. I want to give back. I want to raise up. Chess is one of the best venues for me to do it because I'm pretty good at it relatively, and donating money or whatever the different causes, teaching people chess is a relatively impactful way that I could benefit society. So I guess I don't have that much of a ramble this week, because I haven't really been advancing ideas It's now the summer program, so the chess program will be smaller. Hopefully some of these kids will be more serious about chess. I've been recommending someone get on chess.com, do things like Puzzle Rush, where they try to solve tactics, timing. So, hopefully I get some streaming coming up. I'm going to try this new weekly stream with Deshaun Markwell. He sometimes comes here to the museum talking about various topics. First week we're talking about the rise of conservatism among African Americans in Detroit, relevant to elections, political issues. Next week we might talk about comparisons between the Jewish American diaspora and the African American diaspora, and possibly House Resolution 40 related to reparations. And the week after might be a primer to the Democratic debates coming up here. And so kind of slow here, I guess. Not much to talk about, so I guess I'm just gonna sign off. Wish everyone a good week. Keep on my research. I'm still studying biology, philosophy, theology, different things. We had concepts of free will, and I guess I'm a pretty strong believer in free will, what definitions, and chess play is largely part of it. I mean, maybe it's definitional if people want to put like agency or will. What's the difference between free will? But where you look at a chessboard and you have a series of different options and you choose between the options based on a cognitive cycle, that to me that's in essence free will. And I'd even argue with JF that it's unlikely that derives from the brain. And we know that the way humans think is much different than the way computers think in terms of chess. For example, the huge cognitive effort of computers that permeate through millions of positions versus humans that don't have the power to really think through so many positions. And whatever thought process goes through a person's head, think like a grandmaster. It might be interesting to analyze some of that. I know King's Crusher has the cognitive analysis of so to say how a good chess player thinks with candidate move analysis and various tree thinking. To me is an essence of free will, where I was saying you mentioned with Church of Entropy, the sublimation of desire, where on a chessboard or something, someone so to say may have an idea that they want to implement, but obviously their opponent is going to be making moves and might hinder their ability to implement it. And my father started playing again, mostly the computer. Maybe he's up to like 1,500 strength. But he'd mentioned he's good at developing his own plans, but not so good at paying attention to what the computer, the other opponent's trying to do. And that's pretty obvious. Everyone has that problem. I mentioned strong players see the board in totality. You say, okay, I'm only in control of one side. You're either white or black for the given game. And you recognize you're only in control of your side of the pieces, but you analyze the board in totality of all the pieces on the board and potentials. And I even thought about like geometrical different representations of piece control, square control versus different ways to representationally understand that. But your average kid, when they first start playing, they just possibly think of one or two pieces at a time. Like generally it might only be one piece at a time if they're queen or pawns, and they don't have a systematic piece coordination of multiple things at the same time. And as they get better, so we have the drills like how to mate with a king and queen, because you could only mate with a king and queen by coordinating the two pieces together. And once a person learns the concept of piece coordination, and cognitively to control all 16 pieces on the board is probably beyond human mental ability. So, as a person develops, they learn how to coordinate more pieces, more pattern recognitions. They recognize the coordination on the opposite side, seeing the board in totality, what I desire to do, what the other person desires to do, a conflict of wills in that sense. And, oh, go ahead. And, so I'm trying to relate this to free will in the sense that, a person's cognitive free will in the aspect of having multiple different options and then having the ability to choose between the options based on some higher level processing power. And, somewhat related to dissonance, where you have all the sensory input coming in and the person chooses which input they choose to act off. There's more sensory information that's possible to process, so the person has to mentally choose which information they're going to choose to process. And whether that's an aspect of free will, the choice a person makes. And you could argue there's higher level rules or forces that doesn't necessarily include like a free will process, that it's just a battle of different forces, and the forces could be complicated, like the general brain cognition understandings of consciousness, where you have your lower level perception and then higher level rules, and it's just a battle for attention between these different factors. And in essence, it still could be determinative. And like Jeff, the astonishing hypothesis, I was doing Penrose, Crick is saying that consciousness is actually an illusion. And there's some understanding, because of the complications of how the brain produces thought, that actually thought is an illusion. So in the brain, if a person was thinking like a chess variation, of all the different possibilities, and if I do this, they could do that, and the exponential increase in possibilities, that appearance in the head is actually an illusion, that really the person isn't thinking through a process. They just think they're going through a process like that, and it's a determinative factor that the person just makes a move. And certainly historically, chess was looked at as a form of divination, where to determine a divine will, which would have been more deterministic. So it's not necessarily that a person is thinking and you're looking at a series of choices and using a free will volition to make the best choices, but so to say, the pieces, chess plays the person. A person doesn't play chess, but chess plays the person, and hence the ancient priests used chess as a certain form of divination. So there's interesting concepts, more thought on possibly free will, cognitive analysis, thought, decision making, and trying to put more effort into that. Unfortunately, I haven't had a strong basis of communication. I think this last week, I think I hit a hard standstill through debate and just serious disagreements with people that making it hard to press forward on ideas. And people like chess strength also feel like that they plateau at a certain rating strength. They get to a certain strength, and then they just have a hard time improving, which is possible. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of chess where I'm plateaued. Okay, so I guess I gave a full ramble here. We'll see what happens. God bless. Hopefully we're going to have a lot of progress here. Pardon me. Hopefully, so to say, through the activity of chess coaching, be able to, experiment in a cognitive development sense on pedagogy. What's the best way to teach children how to perform thought? Coach Fight here, we use chess somewhat as a preaching aid to teach people karma, action, reaction, which is in essence a strong idea of free will, that we're teaching kids to acclimate. Pardon me. We're teaching kids to acclimate, to strengthen their free will processes. That, essence, you're saying that people have substantial amounts of free will, but free will is something that has to be worked on. You don't necessarily, free will could be something, I talked about Church of Entropy, we're having initial conditions and boundary conditions, and it might go further in that understanding, but free will is something that possibly different people have more or less of, that some people have substantially higher amounts of free will than others, but free will is something that could be developed through effort, and that's somewhat what we do through chessing. You can make good decisions in life that will help you succeed in life, help you become a better person, so on and so on. And that chess is in essence, the divine game of divination that allows a person to maximize their free will through this power of having these multiple different options in front of them, and having a person on the opposing side that's trying to stop them from accomplishing what they're accomplishing, also with multiple different options. And the nature of chess, it's basically infinite. It's not technically infinite, maybe like 10 to the 70th variations, but from a computational aspect, it appears to be beyond computation, even of the greatest computers. So it's a near infinite, where the computers can make better decisions than us, so they can't solve the game. Just like life or something. Even if, so to say, computers or something, you could derive what the best way a person is to live their life. You're saying the game of life can't be solved, the game of chess can't be solved. So kids there, in some respect, they improve their thinking skill, decision-making skills, and to go on to improve their life decision-making skills, recognizing that they have various options, recognizing that their options lead to different scenarios that could be, it becomes exponential, and how to think about that. And so it's interesting to relate this to the free will debate I had last week. And obviously I'm a strong believer in free will, and part of it is besides my theological background, just being a chess player, and the nature of the active ability of people to look through and think through different decisions, and choose through different decisions, recognize that their action causes reaction, but they're not necessarily randomness, but there's an element of chance of the various reactions that their action could cause, where you could calculate out to a large extent the reaction that your action is going to cause, but it's beyond pure calculation. That, okay, I make a move and I've calculated out a certain action, and recognize that immediately I might be able to calculate all the reactions on a single level, but then it comes back to my move, and exponentially, very quickly, it's impossible to calculate out all the reactions that one person's action is going to cause. And but you could, like chaos or something, it might be chaos, but you could see the boundary conditions of the uncertainty. So even if there's chaos or uncertainty, a lot of times that has a boundary condition. So I guess I put together more thoughts than I planned. A slow start. Hopefully, maybe people listen through this and help advance some thoughts. I was a little bit wary that I wasn't really making much progress. So hopefully this ramble will help advance progress. And, the summer we'll get a lot of new recruits, a lot of people interested in improving their game. And, what helps people become better chess players, what helps people make better decisions and advance in their life. And, so Shabbat Shalom and blessings to everybody. Hopefully, it's conceivable we could live in a world where we all make decisions and could calculate out the consequences of our actions in such a way that, so to say, we're all winners. So the game of chess by nature, you play to win, only one person could win. The game of life, not necessarily so. I mean, it's possible everyone could walk away a winner. And, so that's what we're doing with this chess program. So take care. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. God bless.